Welcome to Real Estate with Rashid, produced by Mars Studios. Today, we'll be going over how to become a real estate agent in the state of New York. So, the first thing to consider is why should you become a real estate agent? You want to sell homes and you want to make money off of that, and that's cool. But one of the things I ask other people to consider is the real reason to becoming a real estate agent is understanding that there is a lot of time dedication being put in order to not only study the laws and being acquainted with the market, but also understanding that it is beyond just showing a person a home. I guess the first thing we should talk about is your licensure. The qualifications needed to be just a real estate agent is that you have to be 18 years old. You can't have a felony or any misdemeanors. You have to be honest and trustworthy. You also have to complete a 77-hour licensing course. There's a number of websites that do this. There's a number of books on Amazon. Just one website that I used when I was getting my license was Real Estate U. It provides a 77-hour course. We're not sponsored by them, but it was something that was very short and helpful. They essentially have a timer and you watch videos and you continue on with the course. Also, you would have to pass the state licensing exam. The licensing exam has about 75 questions and you're given around 2 hours, I believe, in order to take the exam. And you have to pass the exam with the 75% pass rate. And they don't really let you know what you scored on the test, but they do let you know whether you passed or you failed. There's several testing centers throughout the state of New York. So I use this book. It's called The Modern Real Estate Practice in New York for Salesmen. It's a great book. It costs about $45 on Amazon, and it's a great book to learn what you need to learn. However, I would say that one of the things that you need to be doing is that this entire book is about 700 pages long, and you do not need to read every part of the 700 pages. All you need to do is find out the parts where the exam is basically going to be testing you on. A 75 question exam only has a limit on how many things you really need to know. The thing is, there will be people who will spend if you really wanted to learn every part of it, like the 700 pages, it would take you probably years to learn it. You would become a real estate lawyer at that end. But what you really need to do is focus on the chapters that really matter. And we can go through this by what I believe is rather important is, for example, fiduciary responsibilities of a broker. What responsibilities does a broker have? What is an agency? What are the parties involved? The bundle of rights. Understanding the different types of properties, condos, cooperatives, and condominiums. Understanding the different types of liens that are placed on a property, easements, real estate instruments, leases, contracts, title and closing, and mortgages, and from their valuation processes. All these are, I'm kind of going over it in a loose sense, but essentially this book has around 25 chapters. However, I believe that only by reading 10 chapters and studying them efficiently in a way is the easiest way to get yourself to basically pass the exam. The other 15 chapters are things where you should obviously practice and know what you're doing, but are less essential to getting your grade. Imagine that you have 75 questions. You would only need about 50 questions in order to pass. So you don't need to know the entire, 100% back to front about real estate. So luckily, I actually during my time at Baruch, I was able to take a real estate elective course. I took it out of my own reason because I was very interested in real estate. So I decided to take a class. It was a one semester class, and I learned everything about real estate. Where there was different types of rights. It's everything that you would learn in a 77-hour course, putting into literally a class. And so I had the hindsight of having kind of the previous experience of learning it in a educational place, but when I did do my 77-hour courses, this is how I essentially studied. So I would go through every chapter, kind of go through it and see whatever parts were important and highlight them. So if I found something that was interesting to me or that I knew was important in real estate, for example, how many hours do you need in order to pass your licensing exam? Is actually a question within the test, and so I would highlight that. That is something significant. And okay, so you're now the question is, what things are important and why should I highlight them? The easiest way to actually know that is actually checking the unit exam. After every chapter, there's a unit exam. They have about 15 to 20 questions. The 20 questions are very similar to the exam questions that are shown in the actual state exam. The people who have been creating these textbooks have seen every exam that's gone through, and they have an understanding, okay, this is what they're going to ask. And so at the end of the exam, at the end of the chapter where there's the exam, you can look at the questions and see, okay, they're asking about, okay, how much does it cost to create a contract? How much do I need to learn? How many hours do I need to actually get in my coursing? What is the legal age needed to obtain a license? This is part of chapter 1. And so these are the things that I actually have to identify when I'm actually doing the reading, the things that I need to study. And so you use the power of having the unit exams as mock exams. So you practice that, you keep doing the questions, and you do it over and over again. And you also study the material by locating, okay, this question is related to the first page. And this bolded line over here. Okay, I have to memorize that. I have to remember that. And so I have to write that down and memorize it. Then, as you go through each chapter, your understanding of the fundamentals grows. And so you come back. So let's say you're at chapter 5 and you're doing well. Okay, but the thing is that it's important to recall, and this is a very important studying method, is that you go back to chapter 1's questions and you do them again. And then you have to check for yourself, okay, am I remembering everything that I studied so far? Okay, great. So up until now, you studied the way that you were supposed to, and you are ready to sort of get into studying. Okay. The next thing is, okay, you know the strategy to study. Now it's actually dedicating time every week. You should have a target in your head that I want to get my real estate license, whether in 6 months or a year or 2 years. This is defined on how much. Maybe you're just a student and you have more time. You can study more. Maybe you work a full-time job and you can only study for an hour a night. You have to take that into consideration. Know that just because it's a 77-hour time limit on how much you actually need to learn, it may take you less or longer. For sure, you have to take the 77 hours, but it may take you longer to really understand the fundamentals and do well on it, and that's completely fine. But you need to map that out on your own accord and figure out, okay, how am I going to study? Which days am I going to study? And you have to keep it consistent. If you don't keep it consistent, you won't pass. There's a lot of people who choose to get on this journey of getting a real estate license and never do. I know a lot of friends who have the books, pay $200 for the courses, and have never finished it. So you need to consider all those things. Right now, you're ready to take the exam. You've studied, you've done all the things you needed to do. Where do you sign up for the exam? Okay, so when you sign up for whatever course that you take, real estate for example, is an online course, and so you did it online. You did your 77 hours. Real Estate U will provide you with an exam that you have to take for them. Once you pass their exam, they have kind of like a diagnostic, kind of like their own exam. And once you pass that, they will give you a testing center where you take it. I took it in Queens, and I was able to find a center where that they did the exam for free. They proctored it for free, and so I took my exam there. Once you pass that exam, they will give you what's it called? They will give you access to taking the exam for the state. So how do you sign up for the exam for the state? If you go on Google and just search up real estate license, New York State, the testing centers, and you can sign up for the exam. There are testing centers all over New York City. The one that I went to is the 123rd William Street, 19th floor building where I took the exam. I took the exam with in that room there were at least like 80 people in that room. It's a pretty big room. We'll provide a link in the bottom of the video in the bio in order to find more information on the state's website. So you've passed the exam, and now what do?